Welcome back to the lesson. In this video, we're going to be talking about forms in HTML. Forms are basically meant for dynamic web pages, meaning they are basically used to collect user information, and the user information collected from a form are usually sent to the server for processing, for instance, storing the user information in a database. So let's go ahead and create one for ourselves. Now, to create a form in HTML, you're going to go ahead and use the form tag like so, and then hit enter. And I'm going to go ahead and expand our form element like so. And within our form element, I'm going to go ahead and start specifying the labeling and the input field through which the user will pass his information. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say label and hit enter. So we're going to say label for first name, and we're going to come right in between our label element and say first name, something like this. Go ahead and save our file. As you can see, we have a label called first name right over here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and now specify the input field through which the user is going to pass his first name. So let's come down below here and say input like so, hit enter. All right, so as you can see, our input tag has three basic attributes added to it. By default, we have the type, we have the name, and we have the ID. So the ID is not necessary, so we can go ahead and get rid of that for now. But these are the most two important attributes for the input tag, which is the type and the name. So the type attribute right here defines the type of input field that we are trying to create inside of our web page. And the name here is going to be the name of our input field, because we're going to end up having multiple input fields. So we need to specify a unique name for each and every one of them to recognize their data individually. So we're going to go ahead and now give our first input tag a name. So we're going to go ahead and say f name should be our input field. We can as well go ahead and pass the default value to it, but for now I'm not going to do that. Let's actually go ahead and save our file. All right, now as you can see, we have our label first name, and right now this is an input field. We can go ahead and type in our first name. Let's say Mustafa, something like this. Now this is the value we are passing to our input field right here called first name. All right, so I want this labeling to be on top of our input field. So let's actually go ahead and use the br tag, the break tag that we've learned from our previous lessons. So let's say br, something like this. Now let's go ahead and save our file. Now as you can see, our input field is now underneath our level, which is very cool. Now let's go ahead and add additional labeling and input field again for the last name. Let's go ahead and copy this, come down below here, paste this, and this should be label for last name, L name. This should be last name, and here should be L name for the name, something like this. And it should also be a text type. And now let's go ahead and save our file. As you can see, we have a label for last name and our input field. So we're going to go ahead and add the break tag right here, copy. All right, it should be here right after our first input field. Let's go ahead and paste that, save our file. As you can see, now everything is looking fine. So now we have a form that is asking for first name and last name. So if you remember correctly, every web form has a submit button. So we're going to go ahead and add our own submit button right here. After typing the first name and last name, there should be a button down below here that say, for instance, send or submit. So we're going to go ahead and add that as well. So let's come down below here, and it's going to be an input, but this time around we're not going to be using the text type, but rather it's going to be a submit, something like this. Now let's go ahead and save our file. As you can see, now we have a submit button right here. Let's actually take it down below by using the br tag, copy that, paste it right here, and save our file. And now as you can see, our submit button is down below. So let's actually go ahead and give a little bit of gap in between our submit button and our last input field. So we can simply do that by adding more break tag, something like this. And let's go ahead and save our file. Now we have a little bit of gap. Very good, very good. So now we can go ahead and type in our first name. Let's say Mustafa, and our last name, let's say Jibril. Or we can simply go ahead and pass a default value to our form by adding a value attribute right here, right after our name right here. for the first input field, we're going to go ahead and say the value should be John. Alright, so let's go ahead and save our file. So as you can see, we're going to always have a default value whenever we refresh our page. So we're going to go ahead and add a default value for our last name right here, which is Jibril. Now let's come over here, copy our value, come over here after our name for the second input field, paste our value, and our value should be Doe. Something like this. Now let's go ahead and save our file. As you can see, we have a default first name and last name, John Doe, simply by passing the value attribute inside our input tags over here. And we can as well go ahead and add a value to our input field right here. We're going to go ahead and say value should be submit. Alright, let's go ahead and save our file, and everything is good. Alright, so one last thing, the input element can be displayed in many ways dependent on the type of attribute. So what do I mean by that? As you can see right here, for our two input field right here, we set their types to text type. That's why we were able to pass in alphabetical characters right here, something like John Doe and ABC. We have input types like radio and checkboxes. So let me actually go ahead and show you those two types as well. Let me actually go ahead and copy this block of code. Let's come down below here and paste it. Let's actually reduce the break tag right here. Alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and change the leveling for, let's say, gender, for instance, and let's go ahead and say male. And here our input type should be, let's say, checkbox, something like this. Alright, so let's go ahead and now save our file. As you can see, now we have a male checkbox right here. Let me actually go ahead and get rid of this first break, okay, because I want them to be next to each other. Let's go ahead and save our file. As you can see, now we have a checkbox that says male. Oh, let's actually go ahead and add another one called female. Copy this, paste it down below here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of one break tag because I don't want to have that big gap in between our male and female, but in between our last input tag right here and our button. So now let's go ahead and say female for this one, female, something like this, and the level should be for female. Here should be male. Alright, and the value should be female right here. Paste this, and here should also be male. Alright, and the type is also checkbox. So let's go ahead and save our file. Alright, as you can see, we have male and female. Let's actually get rid of this break because I want them to be next to each other. Alright, something like this. So as you can see, we have male and female checkboxes that we can toggle from. As you can see, we can check and uncheck. And we also have a radio input type. So let's actually go ahead and change this from checkbox to radio. Alright, and let's go ahead and copy this, change this one as well to radio, save our file. As you can see, it's now changed to radio type. Alright, we can select either male or female. Alright, so friend, that will be it for this video. This is basically how we go about creating form in our HTML page and collecting user information. So I hope everything is clear to you and that you enjoyed the lessons, and I will see you in the next one.